And we live. Oh, Brian's mic fucked up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aspire Sports Show. I'm Tyler, your host, and I'm here with Giggs and Brian, and we're here to talk some football, some preseason. Obviously, Marquez Callaway right now is having a game, so is Jameis Winston. It looks like Jameis is going to be the starting quarterback, but we'll get into that in the video, in this live show. So, with that all being said, what's up, guys? How you guys doing today on this lovely Monday?
Doing good.
Great.
Doing amazing.
All right, so let's kick it off first with some injury news, and if there's any other injuries I missed, let me know. Well, actually, we do have Andrew Troutman was just carted off the field. I know that he was just carted off. So if you're somebody who's big into the Andrew Troutman, I don't know what the severity is. I know there's a foot ankle injury, so I didn't see it. I don't know if there's actual video of it. But he was carted off the field, so you don't like to see that. Trey Sermon left this week's preseason game, and so did Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Both ankle sprains, they're considered minor, so they should be good to go by the start of the season, but we'll keep you updated on that. I know that somebody, I believe it was Jalen Waddle, possibly got hurt, but I think he came back in the game. I think there's some other minor injuries, but is there any others that you guys know of? I don't know if there's any other.
Nope.
Trying to think of Adam Troutman you got.
What's up, guys?
That's all I can think of right now.
How you doing, Optimize? What's up, bros and bros? What's up, bro? Having a horrible last few days, but it's okay. Well hopefully with football coming around,
better.
we're gonna exactly. It's gonna get better, okay? So with Andrew Troutman, I believe what is his name? Juwan Johnson, I believe that's the name of the backup tight end. So somebody that you want to keep your eye on because he actually was coming in for Andrew Troutman on third downs, on the passing downs during the preseason. So somebody that I was already pretty low on Andrew Troutman after this, and now obviously out depending on the severity of the injury. But I believe his name's Juwan Johnson. Somebody to keep your eye on going forward. So.
Oh, the other one did you mention Darrell Henderson?
Oh, no, I didn't. Actually, good call. Yes, Darrell Henderson. I did see that it seems like he's okay. It's more of a sprain. And I saw the Fantasy Doctor. If you guys don't follow him, go follow Fantasy Doctor. Really, really good YouTube. They talk about all the injuries. They're actual real-life doctors. He said that he'll be good to go week 1. So he was he was worried for a UCL. I believe that's the injury in the thumb that Drew Brees had. So that checks out. He's good to go. Yes, Waddle came back in. So I believe everybody else is good. And I think you have the big thing is I don't know if Will Fuller has practiced yet, but we got to keep an eye on Will Fuller coming back to practice. We got to keep an eye on Dak. Did he even play this past week? Has he thrown the ball? I don't know if he's
throwing in practice, I think.
He's throwing in practice. So we got to keep an eye on him. I believe Amari Cooper came back this week too, so he's good to go for the start of the season. Drafted Xavier Jones yesterday, so I'm glad I did. Drafted Jamal Williams and Latavius Murray. Xavier Jones, yes, that's somebody that definitely needs to be rostered. Him and Jake Funk. Actually, Jake Funk actually started over Xavier Jones this past week. So Xavier Jones started the week prior, so I don't know if they're just mixing it up, but we'll have to keep an eye out on that. And if you guys are watching, you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button. Thanks. Appreciate you guys. All right, so let's get into the show. We're going to talk about the big news, okay? Some recent news, obviously, other than these injuries, but big news with Ja'Marr Chase. It's been reported today. I don't know if it was a real report, but he had 3 drops in the past preseason game. Another 2 in practice, but then I saw another beat reporter said he actually had a good practice, so I don't know. There's conflicting reports here. But then you have, obviously, his separation. There was concerns. He wasn't really separating. Some beat reporters were saying. So are you concerned about Ja'Marr Chase at this point? And are you likely to if you are you likely to take T. Higgins over Ja'Marr Chase? I'll kick it over to you first, Giggs.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played competitive football in over a year, 2 years, because he decided to not play that one season, last season in college. So I guess you could maybe say it's just him being a little rusty. But I think you do have to legitimately look at T. Higgins over Jamar Chase, because even though Jamar Chase, I would like to think, is the more talented wide receiver, T. Higgins had a really good rookie year, and Joe Burrow and him already have the chemistry. They have that rapport. So they're going pretty much in the same round. Like,
Yeah, they're going.
there
Close.
might only be like one or two wide receivers that separate them for rankings. So right now, if you want a safer pick, I guess go T. Higgins. But I still think Jamar Chase has a lot of upside, and I probably took him a little too early in our draft, but I didn't think I was going to get him on the way back around. I think I got him in the 6th round.
No, I think
fifth round.
where you got him was fine. I feel like that's where he's been going. It's like the 5th round is where he's really going. Around
Yeah,
guys
don't
like
let him-
Deontay
I wouldn't let
Johnson,
him get-
those guys.
I wouldn't let him go past like 6th round.
No.
Still. I'm not too worried.
I imagine
so.
his ADP is going to drop right now, though. I definitely think like people are going to overreact. I mean, not overreact, but they're going to obviously be concerned. So it's going to make his ADP drop, which will be good value. But what do you think? Real quick, hold on before I go to you, Brian. I have Russ, DK, Chris Carson. Should I try to trade Carson? My other running backs are Najee and Zeke. Damn, no, I wouldn't. I keep that. That's really good. That's really good. I would keep those guys. That's a really good core there. And you're all in on the Seattle's offense. That's good. Stacking that offense. Should be a good offense. It looks to me like head coaches are doing things different preseason this year. They seem to want to just be a good look at guys random. Yeah, no, I agree with that. This preseason, I do think that they're just mixing guys in a little bit more and just trying to see how they look with different groups of guys rather than because you don't have a lot of quarterbacks playing right now either. Like a lot of your top tier quarterbacks haven't really played at all this preseason. So I agree with that. Brian, how do you feel about Jamar Chase? Would you go T. Higgins over Jamar Chase?
I mean, either one of them, I feel like Iggs kind of said, that they're both going kind of in the same range. So I do think both of them are decent targets at their ADPs right now. I think I would take either Chase or Higgins, honestly, whatever one fell to me. If I was doing 10 teams, I'd have 5 with Jamar Chase, 5 with T. Higgins. I don't think there's anything good. I mean, those two guys I put right next to each other. One of them could boom one week, one of them could bust the same week, and then vice versa the next. It's going to be, I think, similar even to like a Godwin, Mike Evans type of deal, like a couple years ago, where one had a good week, the other one had a okay week, and then the next week it would flip flop, something like that. You also got to consider Tyler Boyd in there too. That makes it a little bit more complicated. But I think the Bengals will be throwing quite a bit, also to Joe Mixon as well. So I think all 4 of those guys are very viable in a PPR league, especially because I don't think their defense is going to stop many people. So I think Burrow will be throwing plenty.
Yeah, I was going to actually say that. Personally, I don't even think if I had to pick one of them, I like T. Higgins, and I do like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I think that, like Gig said, he hasn't played competitive football in such a long time. There's going to be rust, obviously. You have the adjustment. On top of the rust, you have the adjustment of adjusting to NFL, the speed, the different physicality of these cornerbacks. And in college, he actually did play against some top-tier cornerbacks, so it's not like he was playing against nobodies. He was playing the top of the top, so he was still performing at a really high rate. So I'm not too worried, but like Tyler Boyd to me is just, I'd rather go Tyler Boyd. Like he's the guy that's going later, and he's a guy that I don't even think is like that far off from these two guys. Him and Joe Burrow also had a good connection. Yes, T. Higgins did too, but I'd rather go, me personally, in that range, I'd rather go Deontay Johnson and then take Tyler Boyd later if I want one of the Bengals wide receivers, which I do because this is an offense that's going to pass the ball a lot, like you said. So let's go to another thing. And we talked about this last week, and I didn't freak out. I said it was the first week of preseason, but that was Myles Gaskin last week. This past week, he looked like the best running back in that backfield. And he was playing the most snaps. He actually even got a goal line carry with the first team and scored on the goal line carry. He looked like by far the best back in this backfield. So with that, do you think that some people overreacted to last week's preseason where we saw Malcolm Brown be the starting running back and play a lot of snaps compared to Myles Gaskin? Does this make you look at Myles Gaskin differently? How would you assess the situation, Giggs? Hey, look, your
I was,
thoughts on Miles Gaskin? They just
you know,
asked that
I,
in chat.
I literally just drafted him in a best ball tournament today. Got him in like the 6th round,
Yeah, he's going
and like
late.
I'm cool with that. I still think his ADP drops a little bit just because not so much what I'm seeing on TV, but what I'm hearing from the coaches saying, that they're going to split time. Like there's going to
Mhm.
be 3 running backs getting touches. So whenever you're splitting volume, it doesn't look as good. But I still think he's their best running back. So if you do want shares of Miami running backs, like that's the guy you want. Yeah, I would say overall probably a overreaction from what was that? Was that 2 weeks ago we did the video or just one?
I think it was last week. Yeah.
Yeah, probably an overreaction, and like everybody's letting everyone know on like Twitter and everything else. Like, well, he went from being dead to like you want him again,
Yeah.
and it's kind of true. I mean, it's a very fluid
That
situation right now in
that's how
Miami.
it is with just the preseason in general. Like people overreact. I mean, I'm definitely subject of overreacting at times. Like it's just because it's so. I mean, you get football back, and you're trying to do all these different things, and you got all these different players, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at that, and then next week it comes back down to reality. So, real quick, thoughts on Miles Gaskin? Yeah, so we're talking about that. Perfect timing. And then thoughts on Mike Davis. We'll actually get to him in one moment. Right after Miles Gaskin, we'll talk about Mike Davis. So Brian, what are your thoughts on the whole situation with Miles Gaskin?
I mean, for me, he's not moving the needle much compared to even what he was last week. I still think this is going to be a committee backfield. I think Ahmed's going to be involved. I think Malcolm Brown's going to be heavily involved. What everyone's going to look at with last week's game is the 2 touchdowns. I mean, as far as a fantasy statistic, touchdowns are such a hit or miss type of stat that a guy could have 2 touchdowns next week and hardly get any the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
See Julio Jones, one of the best wide receivers of the past decade, for whatever reason, had to stay out of the end zone often. Would love to have him on your fantasy team. So for me, Gaskin is a guy that I'm not having on basically any of my teams this year just because I think the price is a little bit too high still. Yes, he had a good preseason game against backups, and he had a bad game against backups the week before. I mean, it's I'm just avoiding the guy still.
So my take is I'm big on Miles Gaskin. I mean, I had him ranked as RB number 20. I had him ahead of guys like Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs. And for me, like I said, I just think he's by far the best back in this backfield. And Miami would be really stupid not to use him that way. Like last year in the Las Vegas game, you had Salvin Ahmed struggling a little bit. Miles Gaskin goes in there and absolutely torches the Raiders, which it was the Raiders, but still, he's the best back in this backfield. The only concern I have is the goal line work. Does Malcolm Brown actually come in and really vulture goal lines from him? Which I mean, we just saw Miles Gaskin get the goal line carry this past week, so it is going to be a little bit of a fluid situation. But then you start to really hit, like when you hit 20, right, running back 20, like even right around David Johnson is when you start, or not David Johnson, David Montgomery is when you really start to get these question marks at the running back position. You can start to say to all of them, oh, Josh Jacobs, you got Kenyon Drake. Oh, we got Miles Sanders. You got Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott. You got, who else? Mike Davis. Is he truly the guy? These question marks start to pile up for me. So for me, I just look at the Miami's offense, and I do think Miami's offense can be decent. You already have wide receivers getting banged up, so I would take Miles Gaskin. Especially in PPR leagues personally. And let's go ahead and talk about him right now because we do have a question. Thoughts on Mike Davis? Me personally, I just made a video recently. I did personally on Mike Davis. I don't like Mike Davis this upcoming season. I mean, for his career, he's averaging below 4 yards a carry. He's not an efficient back. I just don't foresee a massive workload for him because his team's going to suck. And he's a 28-year-old back that's been a journeyman his whole life. What makes us think that all of a sudden, in a year last year when Christian McCaffrey got hurt, yeah, he was good because he had a lot of volume. This upcoming season, I just don't see that because you have this team might have one of the worst offensive lines in terms of run blocking this upcoming season. So I just don't see a whole lot to like for Mike Davis other than the possibility of a big workload. But I just feel like this is also going to turn into a committee where you have younger guys come in. This team's going to suck this upcoming season. I don't see them being that good, so I don't like Mike Davis a whole lot. How do you guys feel about Mike Davis?
I like Mike Davis. I like where he's going for the upside that I think he has. Um, all of Carolina's play calling, everything they practice was like through Christian McCaffrey. So when Mike Davis took over that role, obviously he was going to be the main emphasis on the team. Even though they had people like DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, it was obviously like we're going Mike Davis first. Um, I think over 1,000 all-purpose yards, rushing, receiving. I think that's definitely in the realm of possibility. So I mean, look at Todd Gurley last year for the Falcons. He wasn't getting it done on a yards per carry basis, but he was finding the end zone. He still had fantasy relevance. So I think Mike Davis is going to do something similar to that. Yes, touchdowns, that's a really hard stat to peg down, but I kind of like Mike Davis this year where he's going, especially with how scarce the running back position comes later in drafts. So if you can scoop Mike Davis in like the 5th or 6th round, I consider that good.
How about you, Brian?
Yep. I mean, I tend to agree with Giggs a little bit more in the sense of for Mike Davis. So for me, I mean, we just talked about Myles Gaskin. I actually have Mike Davis ahead of Myles Gaskin. I know that's probably not a very hot take, but I trust his backfield a little bit more than I trust Miami's. I also trust the workload a little bit more. And Giggs brought up a good point with Todd Gurley last year. I mean, he was on half a leg and still managed to score quite a few actually had a pretty productive first half of the season until he literally just fell apart. So I don't mind Mike Davis, especially if you're going a strategy of, loading up on, like, say, a wide receiver or quarterback or a tight end early. A guy that you can take as like your RB2, as a low end RB2. I don't think you could do worse. So I don't mind him in the spot he's going right now for his ADP.
Well, I'm in the minority. I just like to take these younger guys more. I feel like there's much more upside, much more possibilities with the younger guys. So that's my.
I mean, in a dynasty or keeper, he's not worth it. But I mean, for this year,
for redraft, yeah.
Yep, redraft. I think he's fine.
All right, so let's talk about another big headline this past week, and Trey Lance. He's becoming the ever so sexy name at the quarterback position, him and Justin Fields. So Trey Lance started the game poorly. I believe his passer rating was like 15 in the first like X amount of throws he had. Then he finished strong. Finished with 8. He was 8 for 14, 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, interception. Do you think he's done enough to be the week 1 starter? And do you think now like going back a couple of weeks, do you think it's more likely that he gets in sooner than what you would have thought a couple weeks ago? What do you think, Giggs?
I still would roll with Jimmy G personally. Like we always use we were just talking about Gaskin. Oh, he did have 2 touchdowns against not starting defenders. So like right. Trey Lance isn't playing against the best of the best defense yet. Yeah, it was good to see that he bounced back from like a lackluster first quarter, first half, whatever. But the week before that, or the game before that, the majority of his stats came from an 80-yard touchdown. And that's not the same as methodically moving down the field like he did when he had like less than a minute to go and they scored a touchdown and there was still even time to spare. So he's shown flashes that like, yeah, he is going to be a legit guy in the league eventually. But personally, I think you just ride Jimmy G till he gets hurt or till he messes up. And then you go with Trey Lance because he's done it before. He's gotten him to the Super Bowl. He'll probably be on one leg come playoffs. It'll suck if Trey Lance has to get thrusted into that situation then. But I still think this is Jimmy G's team. You got to roll with Jimmy. But, yeah, he's being talked a lot this preseason. Everybody wants to see him as the starter. He's a dynamic quarterback. But right now, I think Jimmy G would probably be the safer bet week 1.
So real quick, before I go to you, Brian, no problem, Jeffrey. Thanks for stopping by, man. Anytime. We got Odell Beckham or Kenny Golladay? Who would you guys go real quick, Giggs?
I would go OBJ, even though he's coming off an ACL injury that sucks. You never know how someone's going to bounce back from that. But outside of OBJ, Jarvis Landry, that's really like the only 2 weapons thrown it. I'm not really concerned with Hooper or Peoples-Jones. Whereas the Giants have a ton of wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and I don't know. I would just rather go with OBJ. I think he'll probably have a better year this year.
Who would you go, Ryan?
OBJ for me.
I'd go OBJ. That's three for OBJ. Marquez Callaway, we have 104 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Saints. How do you feel about him? So I just made a video recently on my sleepers, and he was one guy that I've talked about. I've talked about him for a while now. I remember talking about a video. I made a video, this was weeks ago, about Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway. I said, whichever one, I want one of those two guys, and we'll have to see in the coming weeks because preseason didn't start then, who is the guy that emerges, because I've been very loud on Jameis Winston. I said there's no chance that fucking Taysom Hill is going to be the starting quarterback for this team. No chance. Come on. Jameis Winston is by far the better talent for this team. I would be shocked if he's not the starting quarterback for the whole season. So the fact that Jameis Winston is going to be the starting quarterback for this team is going to be fantasy relevant. They're going to have plenty of guys that are going to do well in fantasy football. Marquez Callaway looks like an absolute slam dunk for his ADP right now. And I'm going to move him inside my top 30. He deserves to be there now because Jameis Winston is going to support somebody, and it looks like right now it's going to be Marquez Callaway. How do you guys feel about Marquez Callaway? And I
like him more than Traquan Smith.
I like this offense a lot. I won't lie.
I like my shares of him on Underdog.
True. If you got him on Underdog, yeah, looking real good. Because he's going like
shares of him already.
Like probably outside when you drafted him. I mean, now he's going to absolutely skyrocket in ADP. But I still don't think he's going to get to a point where it's not good value. Like he's going to probably top out, like I'd say like high 30s possibly is where he's going to really top out at before we get into the season. I think he's still good value there. Chubb, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, PPR. Who would you rather have? Diggs.
In this order, I would go PPR. Fuck. Damn it. I would probably go Aaron Jones, Eckler, Chubb.
Who would you go, Brian?
Same order.
Yeah, I'd go the same order. Aaron Jones, Eckler, Chubb. And PPR, yes.
Strictly PPR, yeah.
And real quick, I want to touch on Jameis because I said he was going to be the starting quarterback. I absolutely love Jameis Winston right now at his current ADP. I'll take Jameis Winston all day long. I'll be happy with him being my quarterback number one, with my quarterback one, and I would get a guy like Trey Lance because we'll talk about Trey Lance now. Brian, I don't believe you went, right? Did you talk about Trey Lance yet? Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No. I mean, my thoughts about Trey Lance, I still am hesitant on him. He's not going to be a guy that you're just going to want to draft, and if you're just dodging the position, you need to have him as your quarterback too, for sure. If you are interested in taking him, you need a guy that's more supportive, a guy like maybe a Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, someone like that as your QB1. And maybe if he blows up by mid-season, then you can maybe have a league winner in him. He does have that potential. My concern with Trey Lance is that the reason that there's so much hype and so much excitement for him is because of his rushing ability. Mm-hmm. We haven't really seen very much, if any, of that in the preseason so far. He had a 2-point conversion that got called back this past week. 8 for 14, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. I mean, one of those was a 40-yard pass to this Trent Sherfield guy that second week in a row has had a pretty long catch with him. So maybe they have a little bit of a connection as well. But he's also had a lot of wide receivers. He's leading the preseason right now, or the 49ers are leading the preseason in drops. So that's another factor that, isn't helping him. It's not necessarily all his fault. I haven't seen enough of him yet to say like, oh yeah, he's a for sure, quarterback one or something like that. For me, I would still take Justin Fields over him as far as a flyer pick late. Because I do believe Fields starts before Lance this season, and I still think Garoppolo will start, at least the first 4 or so games.
Yeah, so I'll be the guy that disagrees with everything. Hey, no, I love Trey Lance, and exactly what you said. I just think that yes, we haven't really seen rushing ability, but we know his rushing potential. And for me, just rushing quarterbacks are an absolute cheat code in fantasy football. I mean, look at your top quarterbacks. You got Lamar, you got Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and you have Patrick Mahomes because he's just so damn good. But your rushing quarterbacks are so valuable in fantasy football. And with me, I think that Justin Fields would probably be the safer pick because I do think he starts, like, honestly, week 2 for this team, where Trey Lance, it might be a little bit before we see him. But I think that Kyle Shanahan really is kind of wants to start Trey Lance. Like, as this preseason has progressed, he wants to start him more and more. So I think it's me. I don't think we see him yet. I think we still see Jimmy G, but I think that Kyle Shanahan really wants to start Trey Lance a little bit more than where he was maybe a few weeks ago. So let's go on. Real quick. We got MP. Yo, what's cracking, MP? Random predictions. OBJ will have himself a season. He's also low in the draft. Yes, I do think I think he's decently priced right now. I think he's coming off the board right around like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson. Josh Jacobs is a sleeper since nothing's really changed. Drake won't take that much away from Jacobs. Last year he had the least yards before contact, and this season Raiders' O-line is better. Better? How'd they get better?
No way.
Yeah, disagree.
They got worse.
Disagree.
MP's Josh Jacobs boner showing.
He's a Josh Jacobs fanboy. Isn't that right, MP? Josh Jacobs. Oh, AJ Brown, actually. We didn't talk about that. He actually there was a report about him today. He had that knee injury. And they say that he should be ready for week 1. Kind of like this weird situation. There wasn't a whole lot of details. So something to really keep your eye on is AJ Brown, because I believe he had off-season surgeries on both of his knees, I believe.
CeeDee Lamb
COVID, right?
It was COVID too, yeah.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb COVID. Top 5 QB ranked for PPR. Who's that? Who's top 5 QB? Like, are you asking for our top 5 or somebody that maybe we mentioned earlier who's the top 5 guy? Someone just offered me Hopkins and Higgins for DK and Carson. How do you feel? Offered me. So you're getting Hopkins and Higgins because you said
for DK
and Carson.
And Carson. I would keep DK and Carson.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that as well. I would keep DK and Carson. My RBs are Najee, Zeke.
I don't even care the format.
Yeah, and it's great. Like, I love Najee and Zeke. That's great, but I would still want another guy. Chris Carson could be a top 10 back if he stays healthy the full season.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, dudes, would you drop Marvin Jones for Callaway? Ooh, probably. I probably would, honestly. Although I love Marvin Jones. There's nobody else that you can drop?
I wouldn't.
I don't think I would either.
You want to drop Marvin Jones for Callaway?
I wouldn't drop Marvin Jones. I think Marvin Jones is wide receiver 1 there. I do.
Yeah, but he's going to have way more
DJ
competition.
Chark
I would, but there's nobody else you could drop, like a backup quarterback or maybe a backup tight end.
If you have a backup tight end, backup quarterback, backup defense,
I would even drop
else.
like a starting defense or kicker if you have one.
Yeah, I'd consider it.
And then just wait the last possible moment to drop one of these guys. And you could also try like trades too. Like, a lot of people don't do that. Like, you don't even need a defense kicker right now. Like, defense kicker are worthless. Okay, not worthless, but just pick up these guys and work out trades. That's what I would do. I meant, what are your top 5 QBs in PPR league? So real quick, I want to just say, not trying to poke fun or anything like that, but just for future reference, because a lot of people do this. PPR doesn't matter for quarterbacks whatsoever. So just top 5 quarterbacks. I mean, mine would be personally, Kyler Murray is number 1 for me. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Dak Prescott. I would assume that's all of our top 5. I mean, different order, obviously, but that's like the unanimous top 5.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, drop Shenault. I think Marvin Jones is Trevor's favorite target. Oh, yeah, I have Shenault. I would drop Shenault over Marvin Jones, yeah. Marvin Jones is my top ranked. He's your guys' top ranked wide receiver for Jacksonville?
Out of the 3, yeah.
No,
so here's my take. I was making fun of how high they had Shenault in ESPN rankings this year.
Yeah.
But then I was reminded by Anthony that he is a gadget guy, and their head coach, Urban Meyer, loves using gadget players. So, I mean, Shenault might be able to carve out a decent role on this team this year. And the other thing is, I think Jameis Winston can have a good season, but do we think Winston's going to have more fantasy points than Trevor Lawrence?
I think so. Personally.
Brian, what would you think?
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's my
How?
thing. Well, so Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that he has 30 passing touchdowns. And I know we've seen Winston do that before.
30.
I'm saying Trevor Lawrence could have 30 passing touchdowns. How
Yeah,
many did Herbert
yes.
have last year? And I understand that was like the best rookie
Yeah, that was the
year
best
we've ever
rookie.
seen from a
Mhm.
quarterback. But like, it's Chark, Chenault, and Marvin Jones. Like, and I know Callaway looks like he's becoming the number one, if at the worst number two on the team. But I don't know. It's tough, but I kind of have the feeling that I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence in the Jags than what's going to be happening for New Orleans.
That's fine. Me personally, I think Jameis Winston can easily be a top 10 quarterback. This is a team that the Saints, they're going to pass the ball more. Like, to me, Urban Meyer, like you said, wants to get these guys, especially Chenault, the ball. And I just view this team as more of a team that wants to run the football. Now, whether they're not, like, their defense allows that. And we've seen Jameis Winston. He's been a top 3 quarterback in fantasy football. Like, I don't know. I'd rather take Jameis Winston. I get that the weapons aren't nearly as good, but I believe in Sean Payton as a play caller to be better. I think Herbert had 31. Did he have 31?
Yeah, I know he had like a total of like 35, 36 touchdowns. I know he had a few rushing, but I'm positive he had 30 or more passing.
Me personally, I'm not as high. Like, other than Zach Wilson, I'd rather have the other rookie quarterbacks than personally Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be great, but I'd rather take Justin Fields, although he does run the ball a little bit, but still Justin Fields and Trey Lance I'd rather have personally, because I think Trey Lance is going to run the ball. I guess let me take that back. It depends, but I guess I would take. I do have Trevor Lawrence technically ranked higher than Trey Lance just because he's not starting. But if Trey Lance came out and started tomorrow, like week 1, he was starting, I'd rather have Trey Lance over Trevor Lawrence. But
Hot takes.
Real quick. So how much value do you think Josh Jacobs has if Kenyon Drake gets hurt? Honestly, I would keep them the same. I'm not worried about Kenyon Drake. It's just last year, Josh Jacobs wasn't efficient. This team is going to be a worse team than what they were last year. I believe they're going to be a worse team. Their offensive line has gotten worse. So for me, I'm not that worried about Kenyon Drake taking a bunch of work. It's just, I don't think Josh Jacobs is that good of a player, and this team is worse. So, and they'll still bring in guys to catch the ball. Like, he's not going to catch the ball. That's the biggest problem with Josh Jacobs. Is number one, his yards per carry went down last year. He wasn't efficient. Number two, he just doesn't catch the football. They use other guys. So those are the biggest problems on a team that probably wins. How many games would you say the Raiders win this upcoming season? I think right now they're projected
6.
8. I think that's 8 right now is their win total.
6 is a complete guess, but
I was going to
right.
say 7 is what I was going to say.
6 or 7.
Yeah. So I just don't expect them to be that good.
Bottom of the division.
Yeah. So and I talked about this. Somebody mentioned this on Twitter the other day, and I was like, man, I was reporting this last year. I remember specifically talking about that Los Angeles Chargers game and the Raiders game, that the splits between Josh Jacobs winning and losing were massive. He was RB number 4 in games that they won on a points per game basis, and outside the top 30 in games that they lost. I don't expect that to change. Gardner Minshew, QB1. Hey, what's his face did say that it's an open quarterback competition, man. It's Urban Meyer, so
there's no way in hell.
He'd be the worst coach already.
Minshew. He'll get fired.
It would be pretty stupid if he did that. I mean, my starting wide receivers are Amari Cooper and Deontay Johnson. Yeah, those are solid. I think those are good wide receivers to have as your starting wide receivers. In my opinion, if Nick Chubb gets the same amount of carries as Derrick Henry, he gets 2,000 yards. I'd agree with that. I think, me personally, I think I've said Nick Chubb is a phenomenal player before. How would you guys feel about that?
Problem is he's not going to get that many touches.
No, he's not. I mean, 300
beginning of the season.
What was it? 370 some carries last year. He's definitely not going to get that. Even if Kareem Hunt didn't get hurt, I still don't see Cleveland give him the ball because that's just stupidity. He's not the guy that Derrick Henry is. Derrick Henry's an absolute freak of nature build wise. All right, let's go. What's the next one, real quick? My wide receivers are Scary Terry, Allen, or A-Rob. My flex is Robert Woods. Should I keep Cooper Kupp on my bench or trade him? If trade him, who would be a good trade for Kupp? I'd rather just keep him on my bench.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade either of them yet because we haven't found out who Matt Stafford's favorite is.
Mm-hmm.
If I was that person, I would try to see what I could get for any of them.
Yeah.
And then you take the best offer. Like if you could get I don't know.
I mean,
who's it? McLaurin, Allen Robinson.
Yeah, and
Woods.
What? No.
Yeah,
Robert Woods. Yeah.
Yeah, I would try to finagle that. I would try to see what I could get as far as running back. If you could get like gosh, I don't even know who's in that range.
Like
Chris Carson.
I'd say like a top 15 guy.
Yeah, I would do that. Depending on what your running backs look like, for sure.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I wouldn't trade him just to trade him.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I mean, what I would do, and I recommend this all the time, is always send out trades, even if they're shitty trades. Yeah. Just send them out. You never know who somebody's might be like, man, I want to trade, and they'll send you something back. And how you value a player compared to a different person values a player is completely different. So it's always good to send out trade offers. Do you think Mark Andrews gets a bump up because of all the Raven wide receivers are banged up? Yeah, honestly. He's like the only healthy guy right now, and Mark
Andrews got banged up a couple of days ago too, though. He was in the tent and stuff like that, but he's got diabetes.
Well, he passed out. He got taken to the emergency room. Yeah, he's
a high injury risk guy.
Yeah, he is. That is true. I mean, me personally, I guess I wouldn't bump him up because right now I have him as tight end number 6, and I'm not moving him ahead of Kyle Pitts, and I'm not moving him ahead of TJ Hawkinson.
For sure.
Those two guys I absolutely want over Mark Andrews, despite these guys being hurt. I think those are two guys that can honestly jump into the next tier of tight ends next season if everything goes right for them. So I just don't envision that for Mark Andrews because he's not a high volume guy. Like this isn't a high volume passing attack. How would you guys feel about Mark Andrews? Like where do you currently have him ranked in your tight end rankings?
I think it's kind of a toss up with him and like Kyle Pitts. I would put Hawkinson over both of them, but it's kind of a toss up with those two because you know that if Mark Andrews plays a full season, he's probably good for 80 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and I don't know, 5, 6, 7 touchdowns. He is their best option
even
catching the ball.
I was gonna say I would have him for less catches and yards, but more touchdowns. I'd put him probably around like 750 yards and like 10 touchdowns, honestly.
But no, I agree with you in that. And he probably have more touchdowns than we'll have to see Kyle Pitts.
I put him at tight end 5. I'm not high on Pitts. That's just me. I'll never trust a rookie. I'll never trust a rookie tight end though.
But it's a generational tight end, dude.
It is.
This is a wide receiver playing tight end who can block.
This won't turn out like an Eric Ebron thing.
Well, Eric Ebron, he's a bum. Did you see that catch
TJ
right off of his
TJ
chest?
Hawkinson was supposed to be one of the best of all time.
Well,
he was top 15 pick.
He's not Kyle Pitts. Yeah, TJ Hawkinson
season,
is amazing, but he's not Kyle Pitts. Kyle
look
Pitts
at how
is
long
a wide receiver.
Look at how long it took Kelsey to get ready, man.
True, and we have Kyle Pitts. Well, I was thinking of TJ Hawkinson. Now he has Jared Goff. He's a stud. Gonna shine this year. Jared Goff, QB 1 season on the way.
Let me get my trash can so I can puke.
You also, I saw Antonio Gibson. I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie.
Perfect segue.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Yes, this is a perfect segue. So let's talk about Antonio Gibson. He's played 1/3 down. 1/3 down this preseason. This was a big concern coming into the season is his third down usage. Yes, he's seeing targets, but on the team, I feel like this team should be kind of average. So in 2-minute offenses, I don't see Antonio Gibson playing, especially if we don't see him on third down. So how concerned are you? I don't want to say concerned, but there's just other guys in his range. Maybe you might want to take over him because he's not seeing those third down work, or do you leave him where he is? Higgs.
Pretty much leave him where he is. And the reason why I didn't have him ranked as high as other people this year is because I saw firsthand what J.D. McKissick did, and that was take a lot of targets away from him.
Led the
J.D.
league.
McKissick led the league in targets at running back last year, so I don't think that's going to change. And Gibson's still a phenomenal player. He's a hell of a north-south runner. He can catch the ball, just not as good as McKissick. So it doesn't surprise me, and it's not. I'm not moving him on my rankings.
What if McKissick wasn't in the picture and he was playing third down? Where would you rank him?
He might crack my top 10. Probably would still have him below. Like I have him below like Dobbins, Najee Harris. I have him like right neck and neck with CEH. If J.D. McKissick was gone,
So he's probably like
it's hard to trust this
13 or
Washington
14
offense too.
for you?
Yeah, I have him
that range?
RB14 on mine.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. That's where I have him. I have him as RB13. I think he's fine in that range. Brian, how do you feel about that? About the situation?
I love Antonio Gibson. I'm really high on the guy. So for me, here's the way I look at it with Gibson, okay? If you gave the example of if J.D. McKissick wasn't there and you told me that he was a workhorse running back, where would I put him?
Yeah,
top 5.
What?
Top 5.
Oh,
Top 5.
Bold take.
Mm-hmm. He would be.
I mean,
what's the difference?
he's up there,
so,
honestly.
So you think of a guy. Okay, so what is the difference between him and Zeke?
He plays
Think
for
about
Washington
that.
football team.
For sure. But if there's no third, if you're saying J.D. McKissick is out of the picture and he is a third down running back, let's say he's going to catch about the same number of passes as Zeke. He's going to catch, let's say, 70 passes.
Yeah.
He's a workhorse running back. He's better than guys like Najee Harris. He's going to get more running. He's going to get more rushing touchdowns and touches in general than guys like Austin Eckler. I would have him with like Aaron Jones. Like I would. I mean, the third down stuff scares me a little bit, but I do have him. He's for me right now in like Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler. He's like he's an end of the first round guy for me for sure.
So for me
now,
I see that. Like, I do think that Antonio Gibson is a very good talent, and if he was playing on third downs, it would be really hard for me not to put him inside my top 10. But there's just other, like, he would definitely move. Right now, I have Joe Mixon ahead of him because I just think Joe Mixon is a third down guy, going to play all the downs, so I have him ahead. But he would probably leapfrog him and possibly. I'm just not that as high as the industry on Austin Eckler. I still like Austin Eckler a lot, but like if it's a full point PPR, I like Austin Eckler a lot, but if it's not, then I don't like him as much. So he'd probably jump him. He'd be like right there with Najee Harris because I do think Najee Harris, once again, he's also going to be a 3-down back with this team too. So like I would put him there. But right now it is it's not concerning. I don't want to say concerning because really I don't think he's going to change ranking wise for me. He's going to stay right there. But you would like to see him play third downs. Like that's a big, because it's not only third downs, it's also going to be 2-minute offense. And what if Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't play that well, which he wasn't like that good in Miami. He hasn't been that good in his career.
There is a quarterback battle there. Taylor Heineke, like Ron Rivera is not named his week 1 starter.
But how good is Taylor Heineke?
And I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. If Heineke gets in there, it hurts that entire offense.
Yeah,
it does. It hurts Gibson. It hurts McLaurin. It hurts Logan Thomas, Curtis Samuel, all those guys, in my opinion. Because, I mean, so the reason that additionally with Gibson is that defense is the best in the NFL. The best. So they're not going to get in shootouts with teams and have, give up. I mean, how many games do you think this season they're going to give up 30 points?
Yeah, not many.
Less than 3, probably. All their defense did this past offseason was get better. And I think Ron Rivera is very happy winning 20-14 games all year. And that just reeks Antonio Gibson all year long.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Health-wise, of course, if he stays healthy. I mean, we'll see. I mean, that's my take. People can have different views and stuff, but I think Gibson's a monster, and I think even this year he's going to be a top 10 guy.
So let's see. We got some bold takes coming in from Brian. So let's see. I don't think it matters since last year Gibson only played first quarter and he had 7 carries. So the only thing with Gibson last year, why the receptions didn't matter a whole lot was because his touchdown rate was ridiculous. His touchdown rate's definitely going to regress. So he's going to have to see work to make up for that touchdown regression because it was I believe he had I don't even know, 30 red zone carries and he had 11 touchdowns where you have Derrick Henry had 60 something and only had 11 touchdowns. So it's definitely going to come back down. Mark Andrews likes Andrew, or Lamar likes Andrews a lot. He does, especially with no wide receivers right now. Darren Waller is like a wide receiver. He is. He's also a freak in nature. I mean, those top 3 guys are freaks. So Gibson will have at least 50, 60 catches this year, 1,400 yards from scrimmage. I don't expect anything less from UMP. You love him. Interesting. You have Dobbins that high. Yes, Giggs is very high on Dobbins. He loves Dobbins. I think Gus will take a lot of the carries and maybe some goal line work. I do like Gus later in drafts. I do think he's a solid value later in drafts. I like this guy, Brian Goated. All right, fellas, thank you for the help. Hey, thank you, Marcus, for hanging out. I think Gibson's ceiling is really high, but floor is lower than someone like Najee. Me personally, I'm a Steelers fan, so I can't agree with that. I think Najee's the best. Will Eckler be the goal line back, or will it be Joshua Kelly or Justin Jackson? Interesting. What would you guys say about that?
I would say Joshua Kelly would get more goal line work than Eckler, I'd imagine.
I just view Eckler as gonna get some carries, but I'm just not that high. I'm not as high as other people. I already said it. DeAndre Swift is a better Austin Eckler and is going to see work that Austin Eckler will see, and you can get him 2 rounds later. Okay, there's my bold take for the year. If it's that bold, DeAndre Swift is better than Austin Eckler as a football player, and you can get him way later. Not way later, but at a cheaper price. And then you can get a guy like Antonio Gibson or Najee Harris rather than having to waste the pick on Austin Eckler. All right, so let's continue on with the show real quick. In this segment, we're going to talk about 4 guys that are considered my guys, like your guys. So I'll start off real quick. And since I just talked about him, perfect segue into this segment is DeAndre Swift. I absolutely love DeAndre Swift this upcoming season. What I tweeted out a couple of days ago, a week ago, whenever it was, is that you have Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn's past 3 years in Los Angeles, his running backs are seeing a 26% target share on average. On average, those years, 26%. Now he's the offense coordinator for Detroit, a team that's projected to win 5 games this upcoming season. What is stopping DeAndre Swift from seeing a massive workload in terms of receiving possibility here, the range of outcomes? Honestly, I could see him seeing 80 plus targets this upcoming season, and I don't think that that's far off with Jamal Williams. He doesn't even have to play all the snaps. Jamal Williams can still be involved. There's no good wide receivers here, let's be honest. So I think DeAndre Swift is a guy I'm coming away with a lot. Brandon Cooks, just a savvy veteran who, yeah, if we do have Deshaun coming and playing at least a couple of games, absolutely is going to crush his current ADP. If not, yeah, he still has Tyrod, and he's still the wide receiver number 1 for this offense. He's producing his career. Aaron Jones for me. Absolutely love Aaron Jones. You don't have Jamal Williams anymore. I expect them to see a large chunk of Jamal Williams receiving workload. So A.J. Dillon's probably going to be sprinkled in there a little bit more. And I like A.J. Dillon. Last one, Trey Lance. I just think that these Konami cheat codes, running backs, the guys that run the ball are absolute freaks at the quarterback position. I saw somebody earlier today say, are we overvaluing rushing quarterbacks? No, because your rushing quarterbacks can easily be quarterback number 1 every single year. Because when you got a guy like Josh Allen who scores 10 rushing touchdowns, it's not fair. You need Aaron Rodgers to throw 45 touchdowns or 48, whatever he threw last year, and he still wasn't even quarterback number 1. He still wasn't even the first quarterback in fantasy football. So that's why they're cheat codes. So Giggs, go ahead. Who are your 4 guys?
It's funny you just said that because I'm going to put Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback just because I really like his ADP right now. I've seen people take Justin Herbert and stuff over Aaron Rodgers in mock drafts. And I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to set the league on fire again. This is kind of it's not even a farewell tour. It's just to be like, hey, Green Bay, here's our last shot to win a Super Bowl, and then I'm out regardless. I think he's going to have another like MVP like season. I'm thinking like 40 plus passing touchdowns, and everything I'm hearing is that he looks great, and nothing's really changed as far as weapons. If anything, they've gotten better. I forget the name of the rookie they went and drafted, and I could be wrong, but Devin Funches
Amari
might still be
Rodgers.
on that team.
Devin Funches. Well, I thought
He may have gotten released. That's
was
more
that
of a
Kelvin
joke,
Benjamin.
but
One of them was a New
Funches?
Yorker, wasn't it?
they got Funches last year, but then he missed the whole year because of injury.
Oh,
So
okay.
he still might be like hiding on that roster. But no, I really think Aaron Rodgers at his current ADP, like if you can get Rodgers, if people are taking Dak Prescott, if people are taking,
He's usually like
Russell
the
Wilson,
8th
in the
quarterback or somewhere around
fifth,
there.
sixth round, like if you can get Rodgers 7th, 8th, that's more than okay in my
Mhm.
eyes. So I like his ADP right now. I think he's going to have another really good year. So running back, I'm going J.K. Dobbins. I was talking about him earlier, how I have him ranked really high. I just think that sky's the limit for this guy. I know Gus Edwards is there. They're going to split carries. Lamar Jackson runs the ball. And I don't care if Lamar Jackson runs the ball. Baltimore is the kind of team that can run the ball 40 times in one game.
Yeah.
So if Lamar runs it 10 times, Gus runs it 10 times, and Dobbins gets it 20, I'm more than okay with that. And he can catch the ball. So with all these banged up wide receivers, maybe J.K. Dobbins is going out for more passes. Who knows? I think he is a absolute steal in the third round if you get Dobbins, especially in like a 12-man league. If he falls to the third round, I don't care if you have 2 running backs already, you have to go Dobbins. Wide receiver, I'm going to go DJ Moore because I saw this stat where he's almost had 1,200 receiving yards 2 years in a row, and he's had 5 different quarterbacks throwing him the ball. I think Sam Darnold is not a terrible quarterback. I think he played for a terrible organization, terrible team with the Jets. I think if Darnold's healthy, this is one of the best quarterbacks DJ Moore's had.
Mhm.
So I like DJ Moore and his upside. I like where he's going. ADP, it's about right, but it's someone who could definitely. And I saw Kay Adams literally said it's a possible top 12 quarterback or wide receiver breakout candidate, and I agree 100%. Like he is the guy. He is the number 1 on that team, and he's going like 4th, sometimes 5th round. Like I think that's solid for DJ Moore. And then my tight end, I'm going Irv Smith. This is someone who I think can be a top 10 tight end, hands down. Hell of an athlete. He's going to get red zone work. I know they have Justin Jefferson, Thielen, and Dalvin Cook, but I'm just very bullish on Irv Smith. If you want to wait on tight end and grab him later rounds, like 10th, 11th, 12th, go for it because I think he can put up like Noah Fant. I don't want to say he's going to do like Mark Andrew numbers, but this guy could easily be 60 catches, 600, 700 receiving yards, and he's going to get the tutties. So Irv Smith is someone who I really like for their ADP at the tight end position.
All right, and real quick before we kick it over to Brian for his, just real quick, let's go with this. I just traded my 2nd overall pick and my 8th round pick for the 1st overall pick. W or L? Is that an L?
8th round pick and 2nd overall. Yeah, I don't.
I mean, you are getting, in my opinion, a guy that's in his own tier if he plays the full season. I just think Christian McCaffrey is an absolute stud. He's the only one that's really going to be able to do 1,000. He's the only guy that I could see doing it. But does he do that again this year? I don't know. I don't think so. I'd be okay with Dalvin Cook and get my 8th round pick, but you are getting the best back in fantasy football. I mean, I hope that's who you're going, right? Let's hope you're going him.
Yeah,
you took Dalvin Cook. You traded.
Took Dalvin Cook at 1, and I traded. That'd be the worst.
So if Antonio Gibson had 250 carries, he would have 1,200 yards. If Gibson had 60 red zone carries, he would have 20 plus tutties. What is this math you're doing, MP? I'm confused. 20 plus touchdowns. Derrick Henry didn't even have that.
Yeah, I need a calculator.
Yes, WL. I would say.
Unfortunately, L.
L, but
Sorry.
it's close because I do like Christian McCaffrey and I think he's on a different level than the other running backs. But I would be fine with Dalvin Cook as mayor.
I do too.
I think Aaron Rodgers regressed a little bit last year. So I will agree with that, but I do think he's solid where he's going. I honestly would rather have Aaron Rodgers over Justin Herbert personally. He was
all
throwing
day.
a lot in the end zone. I think Aaron Jones will be. Yes, he did have a ridiculous amount of touchdowns around the goal line. Yeah, why the hell Rodgers ADP hasn't rebounded and is yes, it is. This fun. I hope we can start getting more views for these. Hey, it's not about the views. It's about you guys. This is what the show's for. Well, the views will come, but it allows us more interaction with you guys. Or if we have, hundreds of people watching this shit, nobody's going to be able to talk. It's going to be us talking the whole time. All right, so real quick, or not real quick. Brian, go ahead with your guys.
So my 4 guys at quarterback is going to be Matt Stafford.
Yes.
Similar reasons to Aaron Rodgers, but you can get him even 2-3 rounds later than Rodgers. And I don't think that Stafford's numbers are going to look too different than Aaron Rodgers at the end of the year. He'll throw a couple more interceptions, but I think that Rams offense is going to hum. I love Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods in the fourth, 5th round ish if you can get either of them there. I think both are going to be great values, and the other guy actually I just jumped right to my tight end too is Tyler Higbee. He's another guy that I like as a late round target for a tight end, and you could pair and stack those two. You go Stafford in let's say round 9 and Higbee in round 11. I wouldn't mind that stack at all, and it's super cheap. At running back, we'll go back to my guy Antonio Gibson, baby. He's my guy. I would take him for sure in the 1st round. Even though, so a guy like that, so if you're higher than the masses on a certain guy, you can hopefully finagle a way to get that kind of guy at a discounted rate than what you think he's at. So like, let's say I've picked 10 and the next 2 guys, their draft strategy well enough that you don't feel like they're going to take Gibson. Then why take him 10th overall? Wait till the 2nd round, get a 1st round pick. If you want to go, I would love to get a guy. If you can get Aaron Jones at 10 and then Antonio Gibson round 2, giddy up. Giddy up. That's a nasty start to a team. 3rd and 4th round, go receivers. Your team's loaded. Even an Eckler or something like that at 10 is, perfectly fine in a PPR. I think Gibson, if you can get him early 2nd round, is incredible value. Finally, my wide receiver is Darnell Mooney. I think when Justin Fields takes over, that offense is going to also take off a little bit more. Their defense, losing Kyle Fuller is a big loss for their defense. So I think they're going to give Bleed some more points this year. Khalil Mack will be back and Nakeem Hicks, and their front 7 is still good, but their secondary is a little bit banged up. So I like Darnell Mooney as well, with Fields, especially if he jumps in there. I'm hoping by week 3, alongside Allen Robinson, it's going to get a lot of the attention and a lot of the defense's attention. So for me, Stafford, Higbee, Gibson, and Darnell Mooney.
And I did see this today. Was it true that they're trying to, or they asked to try to trade Marlon Mack, or not Marlon Mack, what is his name? Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack? I didn't hear that.
The Raiders.
I read that.
I saw that today. Like, if that was real, that is so bad. I mean, he shouldn't have been traded in the first place. Well, I guess they did.
Well, they got a boatload of picks.
Yeah. So
even though they didn't do anything with it.
Well, they got Henry Ruggs. So.
Yeah, and who is that? Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah.
Was that their pick or the
Bears?
No,
I'm pretty sure it was their pick. Yeah, he has been
Nice.
very good. And I do want to say I didn't mention a tight end. I should have mentioned tight end. A guy for me is Mike Gesicki. Last year, once Tua came in, was tight end number 4 points per game for the rest of the season. I think he's in store, especially he's been looking pretty good in preseason. They've connected twice on some deep throws, and you have a receiving core that's going to constantly be banged up. Like, let's be for real. Will Fuller, no more PEDs. Jalen Waddle has been banged up in his career. Devontae Parker's been banged up. So I like Mike Gesicki. He's currently tight end number 7 for me. So let's catch up on chat real quick. Yes. Okay, so you're going off his yards per carry. But his touchdown rate's going to come down. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to have 10 touchdowns and 30 red zone carries. Like, Derrick Henry couldn't even do that last year. Derrick Henry's one of the better running backs. Even Nick Chubb wasn't even that good last year. So that's why I'm saying, unless he's breaking the scale in terms of efficiency around the goal line, that's just going to come down naturally. I have tons and tons of Stafford, Woods, Higbee stacks on Underdog. Yes, I do think that's a really good team to stack that offense. You can't go wrong with Kupp or Woods, like all those guys. I think Tannehill, Aaron Jones, Amari Cooper, and Higbee also. And if Antonio Gibson falls, then I'm screwed on about 30.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Hopefully he doesn't. So let's go into the last part here, the last part of the show where it's to draft or not to draft. That is the question, all right? So in this segment, I'm going to give the guys two guys that are going right around each other in terms of ADP and ranking-wise, and they have to pick one. So first one up, Giggs. Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, who you drafting?
Kyler Murray.
Kyler
He's got
Murray.
more passing upside.
I agree with that. Brian, Justin Herbert or Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers.
Giggs, Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields?
I'm going to go Justin Fields
Oh.
for the exact opposite because of rushing upside.
Ooh. Brian, Daniel Jones or Zach Wilson?
Oh, sorry, guys.
Well, would you take Daniel Jones in like the 4th round, like our friend did? With a 2 quarterback league?
No. Jesus. Probably Daniel Jones. I don't know. That's a terrible. I hope
Zach
no one
Wilson,
out there has that.
It is
decision.
ugly. That's ugly. Hey,
That's a 2
Zach
QB
Wilson
backup.
is a starting quarterback in my 2 QB league. Okay, I have big faith in him. Let's see, Giggs, Austin Eckler, and Najee Harris.
Eckler if PPR and Najee Harris if it's standard or half.
Brian, okay, we know who you're going to pick. Antonio Gibson or Joe Mixon?
I think I'll go Antonio Gibson.
Giggs, Mike Davis or Raheem Mostert?
I would go Mike Davis because it should be his backfield. Less competition in my eyes. And I do think Atlanta's going to run the ball more this year than people expect.
Let's see. Brian, Leonard Fournette or Zach Moss?
Zach Moss.
Giggs, Calvin Ridley or DeAndre Hopkins?
It's such a toss-up for me. I'm going to just go I'm going to go Hopkins because I'm not 100% sure that Calvin Ridley can have a great year without Julio, although I expect him to. But
he will.
I'm just going to – I'm sure he will. I'm just going to go with all reliable. I'm going to go with all reliable.
I mean, that's just – you can't go wrong with either or.
I still think Hopkins is the best or second best wide receiver in the league, so that's what I'm going based on talent.
CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper, Brian?
See, CD.
The wrong answer.
I would take CD if both of them are there.
Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, Giggs?
I would go Jerry Jeudy because we don't know if Sutton's going to be 100% yet at the beginning of the season, that is. And I just think Jerry Jeudy's the more talented wide receiver.
He's amazing. Brian, Mike Williams or Michael Pittman Jr.?
Mike Williams.
Giggs. Oh, I know who you're going. Noah Fant or Mike Gesicki?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Noah Fant.
No, these guys are ranked. I'm pretty sure I have Mike Gesicki 7, Noah Fant 8. I like Noah Fant. And Brian, last one. Oh, Kyle Pitts or TJ Hawkinson? I guess I know who you're going.
TJ Hawkinson.
All right, so let's catch up on questions real quick. And any other questions, we're going to log off here shortly. So if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to ask them real quick, whether it's, DFS, betting this upcoming week, whatever your questions are, feel free to ask them. Your draft, let us know. Real quick, let's see. You're a Redskins fan. Whoa. Washington football team. Okay. Oh, we got to be politically correct.
I'm actually an Eagles fan, and that says a lot about all the Redskins love.
Whoa, Washington football team, dude.
Yeah,
Jeez.
those guys.
Did they pick out a team name?
The Gladiators.
Is that what it really is?
No, they could be the Beanstalks, maybe, or something.
I saw something like Warthogs. That wasn't real. Or is that a team that they're considering?
If they're
or
the
something?
I hope they're the Warthogs.
That'd be terrible.
I hope the Washington Warthogs.
It'd be beautiful.
Can you
Let's
imagine?
see. No, it would be so stupid. Antonio Gibson is the GOAT, and when he retires, he's going to be called Mr. Red Zone. We'll see.
It's my guy.
No, he's saying that to MP. No, MP is a Josh Jacobs, Gibson, AJ Brown fan. This is
He's got Gibson at least.
He does. And AJ Brown. He's solid. This is Mixon's boomer bust year, man. If he doesn't be good, I'll forever be done with him. That's what I said last year, but I'm still on him this year. I'll probably say the same next year. I think Hopkins still best wide receiver in the league. Another thing, CD kind of overrated. Ooh, MP. Elijah Moore better than CD Lamb, huh? That's bold. That's very
I do
bold.
love Elijah Moore. I think he's a hell of a talent, but CeeDee Lamb's nice.
CD Lamb does look really good. I do love Elijah Moore, though. I've been very, very high on Elijah Moore. Yeah, I really don't think all the hype about CD Amari as the number one and Dak's favorite target. Washington Hogs. What is that? Yeah, I swear I saw Washington Hogs. That's what I thought it honestly was.
Let's
I
go
thought they said
Hogs.
Wasn't their offensive line like back
The
I mean, this
Hogs,
is
yeah.
years? Yeah, like the Hogs when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, when they had that really... I swear I saw the team tweet that out earlier this past offseason with a logo in mind. This year they're being the Washington football team while all that gets underway. I could be wrong, but I swear I saw that earlier. Who's the one guy I think I should have known for my draft, others don't know? Well, I mean, I would have said Marquez Callaway, but everybody knows him now for sure. Another guy, there's... especially in today's fantasy, like everybody knows everybody. It's really hard to try to find a guy that a whole lot of people aren't talking about. One guy, though, I would say Giovanni Bernard. He's somebody that I don't think everybody's fully come around to, but he's going to be a guy that's... You already had Bruce Arians say he's going to be a major part of this offense, and I expect him to be 100% their pass-catching specialist for this offense. So he's somebody, if you need a running back late that's actually going to provide value for week in, week out, I would say him. All right. So with that being said, any other final thoughts from you guys? And maybe you guys have a target that you would target late that nobody talks about off the top of your head.
My guy that I'm targeting is Terrence Marshall Jr. and Armand St. Brown.
Terrence Marshall Jr. does look really good. He's looked very impressive this preseason. Anybody for you, Brian?
Antonio Brown.
He'll be gone.
AV. All right. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Appreciate you for hanging out. We'll be back again live next week. For me, I'll be doing live streams basically all week. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing some live mock drafts. The following day, we got my friend Cruz on the show. Cruz is going to be back with us. And then Thursday, there might be a special guest. I got to work out the details with this guest. He's actually somebody who does a lot of DFS and very good DFS-wise. So we'll have to see if he's going to be able to make it on the show. So with that being said, thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a pleasure, guys. Brian, Giggs, and we'll talk to you guys all next week. See you guys
Later.